Hi guys, welcome to today's video. I'm Zoe from Zoe's Fancy Cakes, and today I really wanted to show you one of 4 of the new hair molds. So I'm going to show you the curly mold today, and this is what it looks like. Mine's orange, but this is the prototype one. So when you get these guys, they will be white, not orange. And there's like larger pieces, smaller pieces, and instructions on the back. So I'll just show you it is white inside the box. So I've done one of 4, so we have like 3 other designs as well as this curly one. So we've got straight, wavy, plaits and braids, and then this curly one. So there's a few to choose from, but this video is just going to be showing you the curly hair. Now I've made a bust, pre-made a bust. If anybody's wondering how I made the bust, it is just the Abby head mold. So for the first style, we're going to use a polystyrene ball. So you want to choose one that's a bit bigger than the head to create sort of a larger, more afro style hair. And I've just stuck that onto the back of the head. You do need to make sure it's stuck on firmly because we're going to add a lot of hair. It will fall off if that hasn't been attached nice and securely. So when using your mold, guys, just make sure you put plenty of corn flour in there to stop it from sticking. Now you can actually get them out without using corn flour, but if you do find you're struggling, then the corn flour will help. You can brush it in to make sure it kind of goes into all the little cracks and things. You can, if you want, guys, put some vegetable shortening in the mold if you don't want to use corn flour, because it can sometimes leave a powdery finish on your modelling paste, especially if you're using darker colours. So I'm filling my mould. It's got all different sized hair pieces, so you've got bigger, smaller. Depending on what hairstyle you're going to use is going to depend on which of those pieces you want to use. But I'm just pushing in some modelling paste. Modelling paste is probably going to be easier than fondant, especially with the curly hair, because it's going to come out of the mould a little bit easier. So you're just going to push it in and then bend the mould to pop those pieces out. And I'm starting with the smaller pieces, and what I'm going to do is just put them starting at the front of the head, kind of just top of the forehead, towards the polystyrene ball. So I'm just doing that across the top of the head. So can you see from the forehead back towards the ball? So we want the hair to look like it's pulled from the hairline backwards, because we're going to give her a little like hairband later. We're going to keep them really small just as we get around to sort of the sides of the forehead, kind of towards the temples. And then we're going to take some more pieces. These are not the smallest one. I think it's probably one of the shorter pieces, but it's a little bit thicker than the ones I was just sticking on her forehead. And you can have a play around with using different sizes of these as well, guys. And I'm just kind of putting them now on the polystyrene ball. So I'm sticking it with water, but you can use edible glue, especially on the polystyrene. You might find that edible glue sticks a little bit better. Now, this hairstyle that I'm showing you now is probably the most time consuming of the different curly hairstyles that I'm showing you in this video. If you're finding it's taking a long time using the smaller pieces, swap and use the bigger piece. Now, you don't even have to use the whole of this bigger sort of section in the mold. So can you see I'm just pushing a piece just in the bottom section of it now, and it's just going to give me a larger area so I can cover more area a little bit quicker. I could have done like the whole large piece, but it will give me the curls kind of going in lines a little bit too much for this style, so that's why I'm just using little bits at a time. I'm just pushing it in here and there with my Dresden tool to make sure it's firmly attached, or anywhere where I've got a little bit of a gap with the polystyrene poking through. I'm just pressing it down. You can obviously use your fingers to press it down, but if you press on it too much, you can kind of flatten the curls. Again, that's another reason for using a modelling paste rather than fondant. And guys, if you find that your polystyrene ball isn't sticking to your figure very well, just push a skewer or something down through it, but make sure it goes down through the neck and the body as well, and that give it extra support. Okay, so we're just now adding more pieces, and all we're going to do is fill that whole polystyrene ball, but I'm doing it sort of little chunks at a time, and I'm going to just do that until the whole head is covered. So it does still take a little while to create this style, but it is still quicker than if I was rolling individual tiny curls by hand, which of course you can still do, but for those of you that are interested in using the mold, this is one of the styles. I'm just going to pop on a little headband. So I've just pressed a little deep line top at the front of the polystyrene ball between where the polystyrene sits and those pieces of hair we put on her forehead, or at the top of her forehead, I should say. So I've rolled a tiny piece of I've got a bit of orange and pink marble together, so we're going to use that. So it's not overly big or long, this piece that I've put in there. And then we're going to make a couple of teardrops and a tiny ball, and we're just going to put these on so it looks like a little tied headband, headscarf. So a bit of water where we want to add them. And we're just going to push them on there. So when I press them on with the Dresden tool, it's going to leave kind of like crease in the middle, but that's fine because it then looks more like fabric that's been tied. Let's put them both on, and then let's put that little dot in the middle. Just add a bit more water just to make sure it sticks in place. There we go. So there's one of the hairstyles you can create. And guys, remember that if you are adding hair can be quite heavy on your figures. So ensure that the figure you've made has set. So the head and the neck want to be attached and set pretty firmly. Otherwise it won't carry the weight of hair easily. Okay, so on to our next style. So I've used the bigger cavity of the mold this time. So that biggest one. Again, pushing in really nice and firmly. We've pulled it out the mold. And then I'm cutting it into pieces. And it's going to look weird at first. So the first piece, I've kind of cut it in half, but across horizontally. The first half I've pressed around the bottom section of her face, kind of cupping it around almost her jaw a little bit. Then the second half of it, in fact, I've cut the second half a little bit smaller. Sorry, I forgot to say that, guys. So we've got another strip of kind of curls. It's just going to overlap over that last one a little bit and just bring it sort of to her temples, each side of the face. And then we're swapping for some smaller pieces of hair in the mold. And again, it's up to you which of the smaller pieces you want to use. Any of the smaller pieces actually work okay for this. I've not gone for the short fat one though, they're the thinner of the shorter ones. And we're just adding them now to the front section of her head, almost bringing them up to meet in the middle. And then we can add some more individual shorter bits, just bulking in at the fronts near her temple. So even if you use like a long thin curly bit from the mold, you can still cut that into smaller pieces. And then here I've popped out the one that's a little bit thicker, and can you see I'm just putting that around now in a bit of a row. So she's got a little bald patch at the top at the moment, but that's fine. We're going to layer them up, so it's going to give her a nice full head of hair on this one. We can add some more smaller pieces near the front. So we're just going to keep going now, adding more pieces of hair. So again, you can see they're just the individual hair strands. They are sometimes a bit longer than I need. So what I'm going to do is I stick it on and then I pull any extra bit off the top. And we're just filling them up now. So we're bringing them to meet in the middle at the top of the head. And that's going to fill that bald section that we've got at the top. I've gone for slightly thicker curls at the back, or the thicker pieces from the mold. And there's our next one. So I'm going to fill the large cavity on the mold, pressing it in really firmly. You can use a rolling pin to roll it on the back if you want. If you've got too much extra in, you can cut it off as well. I've put the quantities that you need for this on my website to fill the larger bit of the mold as well. So this large piece is going to stick around the whole of her head. So we're not going to add loads of different pieces to this one like we did with the other ones. So I'm just bringing it so it meets at the top of the head. And I'm going to pinch it too all the way around. Even there's a little bit that kind of sticks off at the back of the head. I'm going to squeeze that in, forcing it in place. You can, if you find that it's not pushing in, you can just cut the sort of back corner off. You might find that you squash it a little bit with your fingers when you've done that. So you can always put some more hairlines in with the Dresden tool if you want. And I'm just keeping it straight. But then I'm going to fill in the front with some of these longer, thinner sort of curly pieces. Now technically they're wavy rather than curly, but it's really difficult to do curls in a mold. So the curly hair mold is technically just tighter waves than the wavy hair mold. Hopefully that makes sense to you all guys. I'm just sticking plenty of water on the front of that hair so that we can add individual pieces of the long hair there. Just gives it a little bit more interest at the front, but we're going to keep this one fairly plain. This one kind of reminds me of the bad lady on Tangled, off the Disney cartoon one. A little bit. I've forgotten what she's called. You guys will probably know what she's called. So we can tuck some in at the back as well. So obviously the inside of the hair would be the back of the mold, and it doesn't have much texture, so you can put extra bits of hair in there too. Okay guys, so that's that one done as well. Obviously you can change it up as well. You know, if you don't want the hair as long, just pull it higher up on her head when you're initially sticking the pieces on and cut some off the top, and that will give you a nice style. So you can see there's another head here guys that I've not shown you. That's just made in the exact same way as that last one that I've just done, only I made the hair a little bit shorter. So that's 4 different ideas for you, 3 of which I've shown you here now. I'd love to see what creations you guys come up with the curly hair mold, and I'll try and do some more videos showing you some more styles of these as well. And don't forget, if you do have the box of this guys, There's a little QR code on the back that you can scan as well for instructions, although I think it just takes you back to this video. And then also I have done a video for wavy hair, for the mold for wavy hair. Plaits and braids is on its way soon. I still need to film this one, guys. I'm a bit behind because of Cake International. And the straight hair one as well. So you can check out those videos. And I'm going to do many other videos showing you as many different styles as I can think of for these. But I can't wait to see what you guys create with them. And hopefully you like the molds. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, I've got quite a few other videos on using this face mold. So if you want to check those out, and then you can see how I add makeup and blusher and eyeshadow and eyelashes to these faces. If you liked the video, be sure to hit the thumbs up button and leave me a comment below. You can see more of my tutorials by clicking on the images on screen now. If you haven't already, make sure you click the subscribe button to stay up to date with my future tutorials. There are also links in the description box below where you can find me on Facebook, Instagram and more.